Welcome to the first video in the Intro to Programming class. My name is Mr. Waltner, and I'm going to be teaching from this textbook, and you should be able to download this from Canvas and follow along. Actually, at this point, you should have read Chapter 1, but Blue Pelican Java, it's an older book. It's a PDF file created way back in 2004 by a gentleman named Charles E. Cook, older gentleman from down in Texas. And he made a bunch of videos for this book, but they were in an old format that doesn't play anymore. So I'm going to recreate as many of them as I can, and it will helpfully lead us through the class so that while you're doing your assignments, you can go back and watch these videos and make sure you see how things are done. Many students have said they've been helpful in the past. So here's the textbook, first page. Let's go ahead and go down through the first section, and you can see that there are a lot of different lessons, okay, many more than we're going to do in here. We're only going to do about 20 of them. And when you get to the first lesson, you can see it's they're all relatively short. They're only like 3 or 4 pages long. And this first one just basically goes through and sets up how do you do a Java program. All right, this class is really just an intro to programming class. We're not going to worry too much about all the details and the theory of programming. It's really just how to do coding. We're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So as you're going through here, try to memorize as much as you can, and then try to find applications. And there's usually some simple projects that will help you with that. Then if you still have questions, there's always the office hours, and then of course email is the best way to get hold of me. In fact, during class time, if you want to send me an email, I'll see the message pop up on my screen, and then I can check it and answer it online as we go through class. So let's take a look. You should have read through this chapter, so I'm going to go pretty quick. But primarily the first part introduces what does a basic Java program look like. And we're going to use a program called Eclipse, which you should have set up on your machine already. If not, go back and watch the video on how to set up Eclipse. But here is what a simple program looks like in Java. Okay, all Java programs are called classes, all right, and you will give it a class name. And notice we capitalize the first letter. Okay, this is just a comment out here at the end, and we don't have to put comments right there. In fact, probably better if you don't put the comments right there. He was just demonstrating a comment. And then there's the main method inside. So every class that we're going to do has a main method. So you're going to have to memorize public static void main string args, public static void main string args. I'm going to write it a little different than he does. He puts the square brackets after the variable name args. I'm going to put it after the data type string. And so this will be a string array, because that's what those square brackets mean, a string array. So I will do it a little bit different than what he does, but for the most part it will work. Either way is good. This is more of the old-fashioned way that people used in other programming languages, but in Java you're going to find more people putting the string array square brackets right here. Okay, the remarks of course are just comments. In other words, he just put that in there so he commented his code. It says we could put any name here besides tester. All right, that doesn't affect the program, but the name tester has to be tester if your file name is tester. Okay, and then inside our program, our main method that we have, we only have one line of code, and it's something called the print line method. And we know that it's a method. One, it has the word print line, but it has parentheses after it. So anything with parentheses after it is a method. In other words, you're going to do something. In this case, you're going to print a line that says hello world. Okay, really that simple. So we'll have to memorize this. The public class tester, we won't have to write that because Eclipse will do it for us. We do have to memorize public static void main string args, and we will have to memorize system.out.println, and then whatever we want to put inside those parentheses is what it will print. Now, it could print a sentence like this one, or another sentence like this one. All right, when I say sentence, this is called a string literal. We'll talk about that later. But you could also print out the answer to 5 divided by 5, and it would print 5. Or you could print the answer of 4 divided by 7.044 or 5902. I don't know what that is, but it would print that answer. Or you could take 13 times 159.56. So it can print words or numbers. It doesn't matter. And then you can have multiple print lines in a row. I can have, even a blank print line. I can say system.out.println with parentheses and nothing inside the parentheses. That just prints a blank line. In this case, we have 2 print lines, so we get 2 lines of information printed. Hello world and hello again. Not too hard. All right. There is a different variation of the print line, P-R-I-N-T-L-N, print line. Okay, you'll hear me say print line, but it's not L-I-N-E, it's just L-N. But if you could also say print. And what print does, different than print line, is print simply prints it and the cursor stays right at the end of what you printed. So in this case, the cursor would stay right after world. And then it would print hello again, but it's a print line, so after hello again, it goes down. That's why it says hello world and then hello again, all in one line. So make sure you know the difference between print and print line, and you're in pretty good shape. All right, now he's talking about those comments again, and notice that the symbol for a comment is // and we're going to do the same thing he did. We're going to be putting our name, the date, and what the program does. We're going to put it up at the very top of the program in front of the class declaration. All right, so in our samples that we do in just a second, we'll do the same information but up above, but the / means this whole line. Okay, everything after the / is a comment. It doesn't affect the code. It's just to make it more readable. So you're telling somebody, hey, I'm the person that wrote this. I did it on this day, and I did it at this school. Okay, and then down below, there's our main method once again. Our main method, and we're printing hello again. And you could also do it, and I won't use this that often, but you can put /*. Now, what that does is that says everything after the /* is now a comment. So if I don't put an * somewhere else, it'll comment out everything. But right here, you notice we have an */. So that means from right here down to right here, this whole thing is a comment. I don't care which one you use. You can use the // or the /*, but just make sure you use it correctly whenever you do. Okay, all right, so that's basically it. You see only 3 pages. At the very end, there's a little project, and hopefully you'll be able to do this project real easy after we do our sample. So on your computer, I'd like you to follow along, because one of the things with programming is you can't learn programming by reading. All right, great. Hopefully you understood what we just did, but until you actually do it and you actually type in the code, you run the code, you see that it actually works, that's the only way to learn. So you've got to practice programming. All right, so we're going to practice with some real simple examples. So go ahead and start up Eclipse if you haven't already. So I'm going to click on my Quick Launch toolbar. I have the Eclipse icon down there. And when it starts up, okay, it probably won't have the same workspace. This happens to be the one for my AP Computer Science class. All right, I'm going to make one for my Java class. All right, so I'm going to click Browse. And I would recommend that you go to your desktop, and on your desktop create a Java 1 folder. All right, but I already have a Java 1 folder, and I have it in OneDrive, and because I use multiple computers to do my work, I'm going to go down to that Java 1. And here's the Java 1 folder, and you can see I have created many folders for many previous classes. All right, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this new folder Fall 2020. All right, so there is my Fall 2020. I'm going to click on Fall 2020, and the folder should be selected. So for you, go to your desktop, create a Java 1 folder, and then go inside the Java 1 folder and type Fall 2020. All right, now that you have that done, and make sure you click on Fall 2020 so that you see Fall in the folder Fall 2020, then click Select Folder. And now up here at the top, you'll see that it has Java 1 Fall 2020. Now, it probably doesn't have OneDrive or anything like that, but that's okay. It probably says Desktop. Okay, that's what you want. All right, then go ahead and click Launch, and it will now open up Eclipse for us. Now, if you've downloaded the Eclipse from the from my Outbox, or if you got it from online, all right, it may come up any number of different ways. All right, you'll always see this welcome screen, and I don't want the welcome screen to show up, so I'm going to uncheck this box here that says always show the welcome screen. So once you've unchecked that box, now we can come up here to the welcome screen and the welcome tab, and we can close that. Okay, now this is something that has changed. I've recently downloaded a newer version And currently we're not in the Java perspective. All right, so if yours says Package Explorer right here, then you're in great shape. You don't need to change anything. But if it says Project Explorer, then we need to make a change. So I'm going to go up here to the Window menu, and I'm going to come down here to Perspective, and I'm going to go to Open Perspective, and I want to open the Java perspective. Now don't worry about what all these perspectives are right now, but it's really important that we have the Java perspective. See the little J right here? Go ahead and click on that. And once you do that, notice it now says the Package Explorer. So if it said Package Explorer before, you don't have to worry about it, but mine came up slightly different, so I need to make that change. And some of you, when you did your setup, you might have run into that problem and didn't understand why it said Project Explorer. So we'll back up a little bit and make any changes, or if you have any problems with it, contact me and I can help you get through that problem. All right, so we have the Package Explorer here. This next big window area, this is where we're going to type all of our code. And I want that to actually be larger because I actually have a smaller screen to work with here. So I'm going to close the task list and I'm going to close the outline. Anything that was open over here to the right, that gives me more room, and I actually can expand this a little bit bigger on the screen so we can see everything. But there is my screen for Eclipse. Now even down here at the bottom, I don't need the problems, I don't need the Java doc, I don't need the declaration. Probably not going to matter a whole lot because my programs aren't going to be very long in this class. We'll keep everything pretty short, but now we have lots of room to type. Now the other thing I'm going to do is, and you might have seen this in the setup one, is I'm going to go up here to my preferences, and just because I'm demonstrating, I'm going to change the size of the font. So I go to Preferences and Appearance, Colors and Fonts. I expand Java. I click on the Java editor and I edit that. And I'm just going to make it a couple sizes bigger. Instead of a 10 point, I'm going to make it a 12 point. And then I'm going to close the General. And I'm going to come down here to Java. And in the Java, I'm going to change my code style. And this one's kind of important. I'd like everybody to make sure you have your code style set the same way. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new code style. And I'm going to call it the KR code style. And when I do that, this window pops open. So my profile name is KR. And I'm going to change the brace positions. And what I'd like you to do, and I'll explain why later, is that I would like you to change all of these from same line to next line. Now some of you, if you have some programming experience, are going, but that's not how I learned. That's true, okay? I do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I teach AP Computer Science, and this class leads into AP Computer Science. And when I teach AP Computer Science, I want the code format to always have the curly brace underneath and the next one. So underneath, and there's the end. So the beginning and end, they're always directly underneath. So that way for beginners, it's easy to see where your block begins and where your block ends. So we'll try to do that. Notice I didn't change the switch statement. And I didn't change the array initializer. All right, those are two different ones that I will use it on the same line. We won't use the switch statement much, but we will use the array initializer, and it makes a lot more sense for the array initializer to be on one line. It's one line of code. Just like right here, you see int my array and then parentheses, and then you just put in the values. All right, it wrapped around here, but normally that would be just one line. Okay, so make those changes, and then once you have it done, click Apply, and then click OK. All right, and then I can close up the code style, and I'm going to go down to my editor, and I'm going to go to Content Assist, and this number here, it's set at 0. That means the Content Assist will activate instantly or as fast as it can. All right, I don't want that. That's too much. So I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to go to Folding. I'm going to unfold my header and my imports. And then the last thing I'll change is the typing. I'm going to say, please put the semicolons in automatically. You'll see why when I get going. Okay? All right, make those changes if you haven't already. Click Apply and Close. That's the only time you'll have to do that. From now on, you should be good to go. All right, so here's our Package Explorer, and our Package Explorer in Java is where we do all of our files. All right, and so to set up a file, to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to create a Java project. All right, each Java project would be each chapter, so this will be lesson 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type lesson 1 and create a new Java project. What that is a folder. I just create a folder inside that workspace that you saw before. And inside that folder, there's a bunch of stuff already created that Eclipse puts in there for us. But most importantly, there's a source folder. And inside the source folder, we're going to click on this new button again, and we're going to select package, a new package. All right, and we're going to give this a name, and this is going to be Hello World. This is where our author doesn't put it in packages because he uses a different program. He doesn't use Eclipse. He uses a program called BlueJ. And so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I'm going to create a package. So there I have a package. Every program we make will have a new package. That package is a folder also. So I have a workspace folder called Fall 2020. Inside Fall 2020, I have a Java project folder called Lesson 1. And one of the folders inside Lesson 1 is the source folder. And inside the source folder, I now have a folder called Hello World. And notice that I typed it in all lowercase letters with no spaces. If you tried to type it with capital letters at the beginning, it may have given you a warning. All right, if you try to put a space in it, it will give you an error message, and it won't let you make it happen. So if you didn't do it with all lowercase, don't worry about it. But in the future, try to make your package names all lowercase and no space. So once I have that package, I now have to create a new program inside that package. And remember, programs are classes in Java. So I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call this Hello World. Now notice how I type the name. Number 1, I typed it with a capital letter. In fact, if I typed it with a lowercase letter, it would say up here at the top, type name is discouraged. By convention, Java type names usually start with an uppercase letter. And what a convention is they're just saying, hey, we generally all agree that we're going to do this. That way we can tell what's a class, what is not a class. It's sort of like we all agree we're going to walk down the right side of the hallway at school. It's only those people who decide to walk down the left side of the hallway when everybody's coming at them that it makes a mess. So it's not a rule, like you're not going to get a ticket for walking on the wrong side of the hallway, but you're just going to mess everything up. So by convention, I want to make sure I put a capital letter. If I tried to put a space in there, notice now I get the red X up at the top, and this is an error. It will not work, all right, because you cannot put spaces in an identifier name or a variable name. Okay. Another convention is that in Java we use something called camel case. Because I can't use a space, what I'm going to do is I'm going to capitalize the second word. So Hello World. Capitalize the H, capitalize the W. It just makes it easier to read. So once I've done that, go ahead and hit finish. And we have an error, and I'll have to look to see why we have an error. Oh, because I hit put it in the wrong place. My mistake. I was clicking on the wrong one. There we go. There is Hello World. All right. Remember, my package name, I'm going to type in all lowercase letters. There's my capital one. So I'm not afraid to make mistakes here. Don't be afraid to make your own mistakes, because you can always fix those mistakes. So I'll go ahead and hit finish. There we go. We have a class, and notice that in our text area, it has automatically put some code in there. The package name is already there, and the class name. The reason why is the package name has to match the package name here, and the class name has to match this. So Eclipse puts it in for us, so we can't accidentally make a mistake. If I want to call this Hello World 1, notice now it gives me underlined in red, and that tells me it has to be defined in its own file, meaning this name and this name have to match. So I have to call it Hello World, and now I have no error. All right, we said we were going to put our name at the top. So go up to the top of the code, and up here at the top of the code, go ahead and type in // and put your name. Okay, and then put in press enter. Put another one, and then put today's date. Now, I'm doing this in the summertime, so this is August 20, 2020. Actually, it's the 19th, so not that it matters because it's a comment, but I'm going to put the right date in there. Okay. All right, and then the last line that we'll do, we'll always put our name, the date, and then we're going to put in what the program is for. And so this is going to demonstrate a simple Java program. Okay, that's all I'm doing with this. I'm doing a simple Java program, and Hello World is kind of the traditional beginning program that you learn in every language. Okay, so every time I learned a new programming language, they taught us how to write Hello World in that programming language. Okay. All right, so there's my package, there's my class statement. Now, this is the one you have to memorize this. Okay, you just got to say it to yourself over and over again. All right, the main method. Every program we write in this class is going to have one and only one main method. All right, so it always starts with the word public. Okay, don't worry about what it means, but you can notice we've used public before. Okay, then there's the word static. Once again, don't need to know what it means, just public static. Then we type void. Then we type the name of our method, and you can type anything you want for a method name, but you have to have a method called main. All right, so you've got to type main and spell it right, M-A-I-N. Then put a parenthesis, because remember we said all methods have parentheses after them. Okay, and then inside that method parentheses, we're going to say a string array called args. All right, notice I didn't do it like the author did. I put my parentheses after the string because there's a difference between a string array and a string. Okay, so don't worry about what that means. It's not a piece of yarn. Okay, a string is something else. Okay, and then go down a line and put in an open curly brace. And the curly brace, you have to hold down the shift key, and it's right next to the letter P on your keyboard. All right, and then press enter, and notice by default it automatically puts in the parenthesis. So that was one of those auto typing when we filled out the preferences. Remember, under typing I checked the box that said semicolon. Well, the box right below it was curly braces, and so it automatically puts in the curly braces and parentheses for you. Okay, and then the one line of code we have to memorize today, and that is simply system.out. Okay, system.out is the output device of your computer. The system is your computer. The output device is your monitor, or what we call the console. All right, and then every object in programming has something called methods. Methods are like actions it can perform, and so the output device can perform the option of printing a line, print ln. Excuse me for a second. Okay, so system.out.println, and now in parentheses, because it's a method, right? Main is a method, println is a method. And methods always have parentheses after it, and then inside those parentheses we're going to put a set of quotes, and then we're going to type hello world. Now I can type anything I want inside those quotes because it's something called a string literal. All right, you can type any word. So we type a sentence, we can type one letter, 10 letters, a lot. All right, but basically it will print out whatever we put inside the quotes. Now here's that shortcut. Remember I said that it puts the semicolon in the right spot. So even though my cursor right now is after the D in hello world, if I just press the semicolon button, notice it puts it out at the end. Okay, so there is my Hello World program. Everything is done. Notice up and down this side there are no red X's. Notice nothing is underlined in red except my name up at the top. That's because it doesn't know. Al Waltner doesn't register in the dictionary of Java. All right, but it's a comment, so it doesn't matter. All right, we're all good there. And everything's finished. So now what I do is I go up here and I click the save button. And it's going to do two things. Number one, it's going to save the updates that I made to my code. So now my code is, before it was just package and the class name. Now it's got all this other information, and there was an asterisk up here. As soon as I start typing, an asterisk appears. So even if I come up here and I put another space in, see the little asterisk? That means that I've made a change and I haven't saved that change. So I'll take that out and I'll come up here and hit save, and notice that when I click save, there, the little asterisk went away. So that means I've saved it. I also did another thing. In the background, it just created a new program that the computer can understand. And it's called helloworld.class. All right. It's written in what is called bytecode. All right. And that is code that the computer understands. The computer can't understand me typing this information. The computer only understands it after it's been compiled. And one of the things that happened on your computer before you got it is that the school district installed something called the Java Development Kit, the JDK. And the JDK is installed there so that when you hit save, Eclipse goes to the Java Development Kit, gets the compiler, and that's what does the work for us. Okay, so Eclipse doesn't compile. All right, it's the Java Development Kit, the compiler that was installed on your computer, that does the work. All right, finally, we want to run this and see what it looks like. It's going to print out the words Hello World. And we do that inside of Eclipse. And so if I come up here, there's a little button. Looks like a play button. We could just click on the play button, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to click on the drop-down menu right next to it because I want to show you something. And you notice that it has run as. Okay, now up here at the top, if I had previous programs that I had run, they would be listed, but I haven't run any yet. So I'm going to go to run as. Okay, and one of the things I can do is I can run this as a Java application. All right, so I have it as a Java application set. And if I run it as a Java application, all right, then down here at the bottom, the console says Hello World. All right, now when I go back up to that drop-down button, notice that it remembered that I successfully ran Hello World. So if I want to run it again, I can just select it from the list and Hello World is there. Or I can just click the Run button and it runs Hello World. Okay? So that was the whole process, and it was kind of long. We'll be doing many of these. Sorry about the length of this video. I'll try to keep them down to about 10 minutes, but this one's was a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and work on the project that was at the end, the project called From Me to You. So if I go in there and look at it, here's the project. Okay, you're going to create a new project. And not a project. He calls a project. We're going to create a new package, and we're going to call it From Me to You in lowercase letters. Okay, and then you can call it From Me to You as a class name. He always calls his tester. All right, you want to call him tester, fine, but we'll call this From Me to You. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put the information in. Okay, you're going to put in your main method, and then right here with these ... we're going to put in code that allows us to type this information. So we're going to have one print line for this line, a print line for this one. We're going to print this information. We're then going to print a blank line. So remember, to print a blank line, what I'm going to do is do a print line with nothing inside the parentheses. Then I'm going to print the two Jack Jones. Then I'm going to print another blank line. And then I'm going to print another blank line that says message, help, I'm trapped inside a computer. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 print line statements. So see if you can do that. And when you're done, turn this in to the Canvas assignment where you'll see the project From Me to You.